Welcome back, everybody, to the Legendary Series brought to you by ESL. We're getting ready for our next match of the day. TJ, who do we have?
Weifu versus Sjow. So Weifu, a player that people don't know too much about. He actually made it through the open bracket last week and then continued on to go top 2 in the Legendary Series for that week as well. So he's a player that has gone through a lot to get where he is in this tournament. And he's going to be facing up against Sjow, who's one of the more popular players in Hearthstone right now, I'd say.
Yeah, he's a player that's renowned for getting high ranks with Control Warrior, and not to mention he's also a StarCraft 2 world champion.
Yeah.
It's a lot of the tournaments. Also, being able to take out like one of the most prolific players in life at DreamHack and recent memory. So he's actually a great gamer, just in general.
Competitor, yeah.
He's fantastic. But going into this series specifically, I guess we're going to expect to see Sjow play Warrior. It's about what he's playing besides Warrior, and what will Weifu bring, because Weifu brought Handlock, he brought pretty run-of-the-mill stuff, he even brought Hunter. Not sure where Hunter sits currently.
Yeah.
In fact, no one's brought Hunter today at all.
And yesterday, the only player who brought it didn't have very much success with it, being Bunny Muffin. So Sjow has probably some of the most Warrior games played out of any player in the world. I mean, coming from a StarCraft background, he's no stranger to just spamming practice games. And you can really tell. You can catch him playing Warrior all the time.
The joke is that StarCraft 2, like, non-Koreans don't play StarCraft much at all. That's like the joke around, but I understand where you're going with that.
Okay.
Like, he understands what it takes to be the best.
Yeah.
So he's a guy that's grinded much on ladder. He's hit #1 in NA and EU like multiple times each season, just hitting that Warrior. So I'm sensing that he'll probably bring a Warlock, because Warlock's still really good. I feel like Paladin's really good too. I don't think anyone's going to bring... I don't think any series is going to top Brian Kibler versus Dark Wannix.
It's going to be tough. It's going to be really
because,
tough.
Again, now the surprise factor has been whittled down a little bit. We're all like, oh, okay, cool, yeah, of course he drew Mistress of Pain and Twisting Nether. But what's really cool is we're going to see that deck again. He's going to be playing Zole later on. You can bet that he'll probably be on the edge of his seat, shaking in his boots. So coming into the versus screen, let's take a look and see what these guys have brought for us today, week 5 of the Legendary Series. Keep in mind, again, anyone tuning in just in the middle of the broadcast, the winner of today's qualifier goes straight into the $20,000 finals. They get a pay ticket to come here to California in February. $20,000. And these guys came through a mix of invites as well as open qualifiers. Weifu's an open invite, and then Show's just an invite.
Yeah.
And we have Hunter versus Warlock, Priest versus Druid, and Warlock versus Warrior. So I'm pretty sure this is a handlock from Weifu, right?
Yes. He was actually, when he won through his open event, he was one of the few players to bring handlock. That was back when Zoo was a little bit more popular, where we don't see much Zoo now anymore. But bringing the Hunter is bold move, and you said it. Not sure where it stands. I think it's pretty weak right now, especially with the popularity of Warriors. I think Warrior has a really good chance of just completely putting a stop to Hunter.
Okay, well, let's see if it works out that way. Game number 1's about to begin. And, Weifu's trusted this lineup for a long time. He hasn't really changed up much from last week. In fact, well, we don't know. Maybe the Priest has changed identity. Maybe he's playing Pirate Priest. Who knows? But, for the most part, the lineup has stayed very similar for him. And, I mean, he's a guy who's been really trying hard. Like, I know usually that connotation has, condescending implications.
Try hard.
Treats to try hard. But this guy really does give it his all. He's, like, stayed up till 4, 5, 6 a.m. sometimes to play with for us to try to win whatever he can to get some points on his belt.
Well, I think the matchup where he took top 2 was against Brian Kibler, if I remember correctly, a couple weeks back. And they actually had a few pre-smears, and it went late into the night for us and for Weifu.
No, that was Silent Storm.
Oh, Silent Storm.
Weifu qualified last week.
He had some pre-smears, though.
Yeah, he did also have some pre-smears.
And it went late into the night for us, and since he's in Taiwan, it went early into the morning for him.
He faced off against Dog last week.
Oh, okay, Dog, yeah. He had some pre-smears against Dog, though.
Dog didn't bring a Priest, though. So that would have been impossible.
Yes, he did.
You sure?
It was Warrior Priest.
It was like Warrior against Priest.
Oh, well, I thought he brought a Priest. I remember Weifu playing in Priest mirrors, but maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong, but we'll see. Hunter versus Handlock
Okay, maybe you're right. I don't know.
is the matchup on this one. We've had a lot of games over the past couple weeks. Some of them blend together a little bit, especially the Open Finals.
Yeah, definitely. All right, so this is Handlock versus Hunter. This is a matchup that a lot of people have felt like it's starting to go into the favor of the Handlock player. Ooh, nice draw to start things off for Sjow.
Yeah, Zombie Sjow is one of the greatest turn 1 plays against a Hunter. You can deal with so many things, but what we didn't point out though is Weifu. It's got an interesting curve with this Hunter deck.
Yeah, he's got Dr. Boom, which is a mech. I'm not sure if Dr. Boom double buffs Undertaker, does it? Just out of curiosity. Because 2 of those minions have death rattles.
That's a good question. I've never seen that interaction before to know. It would make sense that it would.
Not that we'll get to see it, because what will happen is Weifu will... well, first, Weifu's probably going to, like, rage at Sjow if he doesn't pass his turn quickly.
What could you possibly do on turn 1 besides play as an Zombie Sjow?
I don't know. You can't even Soulfire anymore.
Yeah.
But this Ironbeak Owl is going to silence and allow him to kill the Undertaker for free and pick up a card value there. So
Pretty decent opening for Sjow. He might not be expecting what Weifu has though. Piloted Shredder even is a little bit of an interesting choice to throw into a Hunter deck. I'm curious to see what else Weifu has.
I really like Pirate Shredder and Hunter.
Well,
Not in just my Pirate Hunter too that I showed you earlier today, but
I guess it fits in with like in the Houndmaster slot.
well, yeah, but more specifically, I want to ask you a question. Before GVG, what 4 mana cost minion had Death Rattle? Oh, what? Feign Death? Okay.
Now,
Well, I guess that's like a 2 basically, that's a hero power if you play Feign Death.
And, well, if he waits for the Pirated Shredder as well, that's like a... It's a 2-drop.
I mean, it's interesting. Does he have Sylvanas in this deck?
That's
It's a very realistic possibility, because Sylvanas is a Death Rattle.
Even Doombots. It's just like nukes. It's crazy. It synergizes with just about everything that he has. Well, depending on what he has, but we can only assume. This is really interesting. Really interesting deck choices here by Weifu.
Well, that's not necessarily the best draw, but the good news is Sjow has the board, and he's at a pretty decent amount of life, so he can tap here.
Yeah. Draxus isn't the best draw early on, but it's also a key component to being able to usually close out games against Hunter.
That's another really bad draw.
Double Mountain Giant in hand versus a Hunter is awkward.
That's a bad draw for Weifu, so no, Show's actually okay to tap again. He has to be like,
he's wondering, wow, this guy's passing on basically turns 2 and 3 as a Hunter. And he opened with Undertaker too, so...
I mean, he is, so he's like, he has to either have a really bad draw or he's totally trying to pull one over. And now Sjow can play Mountain Giant.
You don't usually find yourself in a position where you have the luxury to throw down a Mountain Giant.
Right, with that much health.
Yeah.
With that little amount of pressure.
That's pretty crazy.
I think a Freezing Trap, though, is almost certainly warranted here.
Yes.
Haunted Creeper. I mean, this Feign Death could actually have some pretty strong board implications, assuming it doesn't just get cleared with Hellfire or something equivalent to it. So, how do you go about this now? Because
Mortal Coil Hellfire.
Mortal Coil Hellfire.
Mortal Coil Hellfire Zombie Sjow.
Oh. I don't know if that'll be a problem unless he's playing, like, well, I guess other than Kill Command, unless he's playing like Cobra Shot.
You don't even need to hit Hellfire.
No, you can play Sun Fury Protector and Zombie Sjow.
Yeah.
Do you want to weave in a tap there? Is that too greedy at that point? You already have so many cards.
Well, why not? You're gonna have an 8/8 taunt on the board.
If you don't, Your Mountain Giant's gonna cost 6 next turn? Yeah, it'll cost 6 next turn. And that would take up a lot of mana space. I don't know. I think overall you can get away with tapping.
Well,
Oh,
who
interesting.
expects the 6 damage kill command?
Well, I think Show's like keeping a possibility for it. That's
Yeah.
primarily why it's here. And also, how do you deal with this now? Your main concern isn't even necessarily the damage right now. It's the fact that Sun Fury Protector actually is going to bounce back the freezing trap.
Yeah. Feign death here.
Just draws a card.
Draws a
summons
card. Couple 1/1s.
Interesting.
Huh. Well, he will be able to clear off this Mountain Giant, so
Right.
that's pretty good. But it doesn't feel that great because you're not expecting, but I don't know, hoping that it would get eaten by the freezing trap. But I guess that's just wishful thinking.
Well, he's about to get destroyed by a Shadow Flame equivalent of sorts. Or can you even Hellfire? So you bounce back this Sun Fury Protector, obviously, and then Hellfire, I believe, allows you to play the Molten Giant. Oh, you can
No,
play Mountain Giant.
yeah.
Derp.
Hellfire would only make it 5 mana.
No, you forgot the Leopard Gnome.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Clever stuff.
indeed. Maybe he didn't see that, but this is still a really big board. Really big board. And
Sea Giant. This is like the opportunity where you just like surprise your opponent on ladder, and you're like, "What? You put Sea Giant in that?"
somebody played Hunter in this tournament with Sea Giants. Was it Weifu?
Oh, it was Weifu.
It was Weifu.
He did play Sea Giant, honey, you're right. I knew I was onto something there.
Yeah. So it's a possibility. I wouldn't put it past him at all to throw that in.
Well, you've got Siphon Soul. The problem is all these little 1/1s that are going to be attacking and being annoying. But I don't see a problem with it. You're still at a comfortable spot. You have Jiraxes too.
You don't want a Shadow Flame?
Shadow Flame feels like you have to give up your Giant to do so. Also, you might take a lot from it.
Yeah.
The bombs. Oh, he's BGH. Yeah, of course. You can BGH afterwards too.
Yep.
It's tucked safely into the middle of the hand. So.
And now, this is a pretty threatening board. Rag.
This is reminiscent of like how Life Coach would play Hunter. It's very, it's slower, but it packs one hell of an uppercut if it ever gets its footing down.
Yes. And at this point, though, it's at a point where it might be too slow because you're pretty low health.
He wants us to hit face, right?
But he didn't want it to hit the BGH, that's for sure.
Because it's like if you get him that close, maybe you draw into kill command finish. I don't know, but either way, he's in big trouble.
Yeah. He's facing lethal next turn.
I think Show's got this one unless there's a miracle being pulled out like Deathwing. No, he doesn't have enough mana.
Yeah, Pilot of Shredder is not the miracle that he needs, and he could throw out the Sledge Belcher and delay this and keep him alive, but it's looking pretty bad for him right now. Freezy Trap is going to do pretty good here as well, but I guess it's not that effective.
Oh, no, it don't matter.
That's game. That's
Siphon
game.
Soul, Hellfire allows him to push through.
It does.
Wait. Unless the trap from the Mad Scientist.
Oh.
Wait, no.
It couldn't be Freezing Trap.
Yeah, it might be Explosive Trap, right?
Yep, but even then, as long as he bounces, well, no. No, it still wouldn't matter.
Yeah, okay. Doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I was thinking maybe if there's a trap.
Yeah.
Misdirection.
Oh, misdirection. Did that not? Oh, yeah, it did. I think we saw a Snake Trap early on in his opening hand.
Misdirection. Okay, it's a snake trap.
Yeah. Yeah, we saw the snake trap in his mulligans, so not really too beneficial to run one of the 2 death traps.
He didn't even need Antique Healbot or
Draxus.
He didn't need GVG cards in general.
He didn't need much, to be honest. You think about it, it's just like when the hunter passes turn 2, turn 3, and then has underwhelming plays for like turn 5, turn 6, then you know you're in a pretty good spot as handlock, which already sort of goes into the handlock's favor nowadays.
Well, I guess that's gonna wrap up the first game. We're going to game number 2. I think, what did we have? We had Druid, and we also had what? We had the
Priest.
Okay.
Priest versus Druid, maybe. Yeah, because his warrior deck was last, and Weifu's warlock was last. Yeah. So Priest versus Druid. And Sjow, what Druid deck do you think Show's bringing?
Just a straight up mid-range Druid.
Okay.
There's no other way that's been established to build Druid other than having the double Savage Warforged nature. Then Ramp. Ramp is in a very weird spot because Control Warrior is just better than Ramp, and why wouldn't you just play Control Warrior instead of Ramp? Because it flexes against the state of the board better. It has better abilities to go aggressive. It's more consistent with draws too. So overall, I think Ramp Druid is just outperformed by other decks. And then the Mech Druid, yeah, feels like why not you just playing Mech Mage or something else that's like better.
So every version of Druid besides midrange is just a worse version of a deck that's already out there.
My feeling. I'm not sure if other people feel the same way, but I'm pretty sure this is the general sentiment. Like it's just it doesn't feel like you might as well play Control Paladin or Control Warrior or even Handlock to an extent. Handlock's a lot like Ramp too.
Yeah.
You might as well just do that.
Yep. Well, we'll see, but judging by this, oh, whoa.
Okay.
So it looks like it is mech.
It is mech-oriented Druid, and we've seen it sometimes just win games because of like we said, the tempo. You have Innervate plus you have like this Mech Warper to grab you off this tempo. Kind of hilarious that Sjow threw away Dr. Boom just to get Dr. Boom.
Well, this is a really great sequence of plays here, being able to throw out a Mech Warper, and if it's not dealt with, throwing out a turn 2 Harvest Golem,
right?
Which is pretty big. But he might not even want to. Oh, well, that could be a big tempo swing.
Yeah.
Oh, he's not. He's gonna choose not to.
Well, you got Innovate Loatheb next turn.
Oh, that's very true.
I mean, if you innovate
is that
Wrath,
worth it?
If you innovate Wrath, there's no guarantee you'll be able to play anything else. Plus, you're using 2 cards in your hand to secure a 4 damage board. I like the Wrath pickup or the Innovate pickup because originally he didn't have a play past his turn. Feels really, really good though. Nice. So.
And he's got a turn 4 play as well.
Yeah. Is there an alternative? I don't think so.
Nothing that fits his mana very well. And this gives him a couple turns to pick up a play to make on turn 5, and even then he still has the Wrath available. But Weifu, I guess this isn't too bad.
No, I think he should set up a way for the Shadow Word Death to be really effective next turn with the Pyromancer. So you kill off the first body of the Harvest Golem. Suppose you heal up after that. Heal the Dark Cultist. If you're really obsessed about putting out power on the board, you can play Shrinkmeister, but pretty sure just attacking the Harvest Golem and healing your Dark Cultist is perfectly fine here.
I agree.
You're taking some damage.
The Shrinkmaster could be really great utility later on in the game as well, especially against a lot of creatures that you wouldn't necessarily be able to deal with as easily as a priest. But, I mean, you don't really know, because it is a mech druid, so those creatures like the Yetis and, well, mechanical Yetis. Oh, no. You can steal a mechanical Yeti with the Shrinkmaster.
But I guess a lot of things with 4 attack.
Yeah.
Oh. Interesting. Huh.
So he's going with just an efficient way to trade into it.
Right. So that way he doesn't have to use Shadow Word Death.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which makes
perfectly
sense.
fine too.
You can almost you can be pretty certain that he's going to be running Dr. Boom in this deck. You might want to save it for that. There could be a lot of...
I mean, there's always targets in Druid with Shadow Word Death. There's Ancient of Lore. There's not just a Lotheb, but there's just usually a lot of targets like Scenarios.
Do you still run Scenarios in this Mech Druid?
Perhaps. You never know.
I don't know.
To get buffs. I haven't played much of this deck, to be honest. I've seen a few people ladder it to Legend on streams, but the core synergy is just that you get a bunch of mechs, you get a lot of sticky minions like the pilots, and then you just combo. It's naturally very aggressive.
It can be very overwhelming of a deck.
Right. I think I'm okay with also playing the Pilot Shredder, but Sjow clearly wants to keep his Lotheb out as long as he can. Because I think when you play the Shrinkmeister, you're a little suspicious, like, is he trying to set me up for some kind of combo? And the truth is, he's also going to be vulnerable to Holy Nova. Thankfully, though, his opponent doesn't have it.
Well, he didn't really trade any power on the board. He still keeps the same amount.
Hey, dude, Weifu runs both the Ooze and Harrison Jones.
There's so many weapons in the game right now. You look at what classes you're thinking of playing against the most, and it's like Warrior and Paladin are definitely on that list. So there's so much value out of that.
So if Weifu was going to do this before, he basically gave up his Shrinkmeister.
Yeah.
And now Sjow picks up a free card and now plays this Spider Tank for almost no loss of tempo, because he only loses the 1 damage that he wouldn't get from Azure Drake, but he just got back the card anyways. He would have won by cantripping.
Well, Harrison seems like okay here. You're the Sledge Belcher. You're going to give him opportunities to... Well, I guess it's not too bad. It just doesn't cleanly kill off the Spider Tank.
Yeah, I think I'm okay playing Sludge Belcher, so that way he doesn't use his hero power again just to kill Harrison. Because he's at such a high health that I think he's okay with just trading his hero power and then playing a 4-mana minion like a Yeti, or in this case a Pilot Shredder. So I think Sludge Belcher is almost strictly better than the Harrison in this, when you think about it in this way. And it turns out to be the right move too, because now it's a little bit of an awkward turn. You have to play the Azure Drake.
Yeah,
You're going to be floating a mana.
I guess there would have been a lot of plays that would have been pretty effective against shutting down the Harrison play.
Might be nice though. I think you have a very nice opportunity to Thought Steal something good.
Yeah. You know this deck's playing a lot of, well, mechs, low mana creatures. You'll have something to play after the Thought Steal. But you can draw a card here.
Okay, drawing a card. I mean, he effectively does the same thing for 3 mana. It's about drawing cards. It's just Thought Steal draws you 2, and this draws you 1 from your deck. LOL. Okay. Well, that's pretty troll-tastic.
Thought Steal first. Innervate.
Innervate Thought Steal.
Thought Steal, Innervate, Thought Steal. Oh, man.
Okay, well, this puts out a pretty... I mean, he's got a decent amount on the board here, but this is where, like, Ancient of Lore, or even Dr. Boom, might just start running away with the game.
Yeah.
Because Ancient of Lore is going to put out a 5/5. How do you deal with that as Priest? Not to mention he just drew 2 cards. Dr. Boom is so big, too.
And he so inefficiently used his Shadow or Death earlier. That
Yeah.
Dealing with a Dr. Boom and then dealing with Ancient of Lores, maybe even back-to-back. It's going to be so tough.
He needs a Circle of Healing, but he doesn't have one, so what can you do instead?
Oh, Paladin. I don't know.
You have to Thought Steal a big game hunter. Like that's like what you've relegated to at this point. Weifu has no control over the board. His injured Blade Master and his Dark Cultist, they didn't appear in the early game enough to have high impact. And now Druid just commands the board.
I think you want to try and deal with these boom bots first. Maybe not even.
I don't know.
Because
It doesn't feel great.
well, he could hopefully get everything off the board except the Dr. Boom this turn. But it would be so messy. You could like pilot a Shredder.
Yeah, you can Thought Steal and then play Harrison afterwards.
Oh,
he didn't
no.
trade into the 3-1. Oh, now Harrison becomes much worse, so he has to pilot Shredder instead. Maybe Hero Power with the Akanai. Is he just gonna heal?
Oh no.
Oh, that feels very weak.
Wow.
He might actually... Oh, I was thinking he might actually die.
Oh, it doesn't.
Wait. 7, 10, 11, plus 8, 19.
He's
Yeah,
dead.
He's dead. He's got
He's
lethal.
dead.
Yeah, he is dead.
Wow.
Savage or Force of Nature is lethal. Now, does Sjow see it? Now, does Sjow see it? He has to be counting. It's like otherwise, there's
Yeah.
no point in pausing.
I think Savage Roar Swipe is what, 23 damage.
So that wraps up the game, and Weifu made a series of plays that didn't feel very strong, and as a result, Sjow punished it perfectly. So a very quick 2-0, and Weifu is on his third matchup, which it might be favorable. He's got Warrior against
Warlock.
Handlock.
Yeah.
Oh no, he's got Handlock against Warrior.
Handlock. His handlock against Show's Warrior.
Oh, well in that case,
A little rough. Little rough.
yeah, I don't know. I think Show's very good against Handlock. He's had to beat it so many times climbing the legend, and a lot of the sentiments of pro players feel like Handlock, like Warrior's got the edge right now.
Yeah, not a huge edge, but I'd say it's an edge. If they can have the answers early on, then it can be pretty smooth sailing. And even if not, then they can usually find ways to sort of piece it back together. But we'll have to see. Weifu's going to have to win 3 in a row to move on to the semifinals. Not only will he have to beat this Warrior, but then he'll have to go to the blind pick, and he'll have to find ways to get into good matchups 2 games in a row, which is
It's
tough.
not impossible. I think Weifu can do it. He's also pulled himself out of really tough situations in the past. But Show's just playing well. Like there's just nothing really textbook wrong. Academically, he's playing pretty much perfectly. So you can check that off the list. But you know, I think he's also drawing the precise 2 cards he needs. His deck is also crazy, and he also top decked that answer to win, right?
Yeah. Yeah, but this is the deck. He puts it as his third deck because it's his ace deck, I think. A lot of players you'll see, they'll either throw out their favorite deck early on, or they'll keep it for third to sort of give them that edge back into the game. And Sjow, of course, he said it before, has played Warrior so many times, climbed to Legend multiple times with it, has been #1 on EU and NA simultaneously with the Warrior deck, and here we go, underway. Harrison Jones.
All right, keeping Harrison, I'm always in favor of that. It's just really effective and often gives you the minimal amount of tempo swing that can just tilt the scales. So that way you can start being a little bit more aggressive. You can start capitalizing on the board. And then not to mention that it's a 5-3 often at times, that because you usually use it on Death Spite or something. It's a 5-3 that they have to deal with.
How often do you see Harrison in handlock, though?
Oh, you're right. Harrison in the handlock.
It seems weird.
For some reason, I was like assuming this is the Warlock mirror.
No.
That's very unexpected, to say the least. Normally, it's like the
Ooze. I see
yeah,
ooze
it's
in
like
handlock.
the ooze.
Yeah.
But I don't know if Show's expecting that either. Cause like as the Warrior, like yes, I'm gonna save Harrison for the Jiraxis.
Yeah.
But are you ever saving, or are you ever anticipating the Harrison from the Warlock player? I don't think so.
Well, I don't know. I feel like the Harrison could end up being, well, maybe not. I don't know. Could end up being a liability in some situations where if you don't have enough mana to play an extra card, then you could end up overdrawing with Harrison because you always have a full hand early on. You have to find ways to play it. But I guess it could be good. I mean, if you're expecting so many Warriors and Paladins, then Harrison's feels like an auto-include, but just handlock seems to be the deck where it just doesn't seem to fit as well as it does with, like, Priest or Druid.
Fair enough. Show's actually caught at a weird impasse where this Drake is threatening clear everything, and he doesn't have an easy cut way to remove it with execute. But what does he have, TJ?
If he whirlwinds and armors up, he'd only be at 5. So he could whirlwind, armor up, coin, fire, war axe, and still preserve his armor smith. But then he's using so many cards. No, he wouldn't even be able to do that.
Yeah, I think he's just got a pretty reasonable answer in Death Bite. He doesn't necessarily even have to trade into it because he's got the second attack.
Yeah.
So I think this is a pretty good response.
Yep. This is a little bit rough though, because now the only removal he has left in his hand is, or that he has in his hand, is Shield Slam.
Well, interestingly enough, if Harrison comes down, that's still like an easy way to kill off the Astro Drake in the future because he's got the War Axe. And he's also gaining some armor too in the process, which is quite humorous. This is tempting though. I think this is almost as good as it gets with Harrison Jones, unless you're anticipating a Gore Howl.
Yeah. This is okay. So, what other options does he have besides Harrison? It's pretty slim.
His other option is to Antique Healbot or to taunt up with Ancient Watcher.
Ancient Watcher, Sun Fury Protector.
If he taunts up with Ancient Watcher, then he's still vulnerable to a Black Knight, right? Just
yeah.
I don't know if Warriors are playing Black Knight. I don't know if that's what you're afraid of.
Yeah, I don't think you're really. Well, I don't know. Especially this early, I don't know if you're too much worried about playing around Black Knight. It can be a big swing, but not sure if he's too worried about that. Well, Execute's gonna be a good draw. Maybe not now. Well, not now, but
yeah, I think he would have preferred something proactive.
That's true.
And draw and execute when he needs it exactly.
Because you can't really do much else this turn besides just clearing the board. Or throwing out a Sylvanas.
I mean, it's a 5/5.
And holding on to the Death Bite now that he drew Execute is actually pretty good.
It's not like Sylvanas is going to be doing much anyways. You anticipate your opponent being able to deal with Sylvanas immediately with silence and like removal. In the past, you used to be able to save Sylvanas because you could turn 10 Sylvanas Brawl and guaranteed kill everything.
Gone are those days, Rodan.
Well, it was OP. Let's just say it. It was just like Sylvanas at 5 mana was just way too crazy good.
Yeah.
Always an auto include. Not to mention the death battles were inconsistent too in the past. It wasn't like the way it is now, where the first minion played triggers first.
No.
It was like a specific set of rules.
It seemed random at times.
It was the closest we ever got to the theory was apparently it had to do with who issued the challenge in the friends list first. With like they would get the Sylvanas trigger first. That was the only like similar correlation. Everything else was just like obscure, inconsistent results, but that was like the one thing that was consistent.
That's such a weird way to determine.
Yeah.
But what about in a ladder match? Then it's random.
Probably not. So Sjow picks up another whirlwind effect here, or sorry, another way to draw with the whirlwind effect here. Yep. So he gets an ability to clear the board effectively.
Ultimate value out of this Acolyte of Pain as well. This is pretty sweet. And he's also gonna help this Sylvanas go a little bit further as well.
Nice.
Get some more use out of that thing while it's silenced.
I'm not sure if you're gonna want to attack though. You're putting your opponent at 11 health. We see no Molten Giants, but it's just as simple as overstepping your bounds once.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think killing this off, as opposed to going super aggressive and ham,
it does.
Sense.
It never really feels wasteful in handlock to hold on to damage.
Right.
In any other matchup, you'd think, oh well, I'm throwing 5 power into 2 power. I'm wasting.
Right. Why didn't I play Cool Taskmaster and push?
Yeah,
but,
yeah.
In this case, you're very mindful of what can happen.
Yeah, you put him at 11. One mana Molten Giants. He could, on this turn, he could double Molten Giant and taunt or double Molten Giant Antique Healbot.
So Weifu is keeping Harrison, like very clearly he's saving Harrison so that way he can surprise Sjow and disarm him from using the second charge of Death's Bite #2. So that way he doesn't have a way to activate his Grow Mash if he overextends.
It's pretty smart.
In the meantime, then, ooh, tapping into that Mortal Coil was exactly what he needed.
That's fantastic.
It's the exact card he needed because now he can play this Mountain Giant pretty easily and without fear of getting easily killed off with just Sylvanas.
Yeah. I think he was definitely hoping for that when he went for the tap. Okay.
I guess you're using Shield Slam here instead of Execute, right?
Yeah.
I guess Execute.
Huh.
I suppose he feels like he can keep building on Shield Slam.
Yeah, that's true. Usually, it depends on the situation, but sometimes you want to get Shield Slam out of the way. But this time, it would be harder in another situation to maybe damage a creature, because you know your first Death Bite's gone. You probably want to save the second Death Bite as a trigger for Grommash, and having to use their Cruel Taskmaster to damage a minion just to be able to use Execute can sometimes feel a little bad, or you might want to save that activator.
I think, I don't know. It can make him feel like his opponent doesn't have Shield Slam. But for the most part, I think it's negligible. For every argument you can make a case for, mind game-wise, you can make a case against.
Yeah. Mind games are very mind gamey. You can mind games yourself by trying to
Yeah,
mind
you
game
think
your
so,
opponent.
TJ?
Yeah. Well, I'm saying you can mind
Maybe you
game.
should add that into your Twitter profile.
You can mind games
Mind
yourself
games
by trying to mind game your opponent. Like, you could get so caught up in your own mind games that you could eventually just, like, it's an infinite loop.
Yeah, I understood what you meant. I just busted it. So, no tap to try and reduce the amount of pressure life-wise. He wants his opponent to play another Death's Bite of some kind, but, you know, this is perfect for Fiery War Axe.
It is. Now,
follow-up is pretty weak, though.
yeah. He did a lot of, well, he needs to be able to draw into the win conditions here pretty quickly, but I don't think he's really unhappy with where he is.
Key being Sjow?
Yeah, Sjow.
Okay.
There's not really any other for Weifu.
Well, Weifu is just to basically grind out the warrior.
Yeah.
Wait till you have Jiraxis to start making the Infernos, do other cool stuff. Harrison, on the weapon here is just so that he can grab some board. He had to Dark Bomb first, otherwise he'd overdraw, right?
Yeah.
So that was a pretty heads-up play. But he's having second thoughts. Some cold feet.
Well, if he throws out the Harrison here, then he'll have to use the second Dark Bomb.
Right, as opposed to dropping Sludge Belcher.
Yeah.
And challenging the Shield Maiden that way.
Yeah. But it seems like the way he did it, he was definitely going for the Harrison play.
Well, you can still draw a card by tapping. I mean, this is partially why Harrison is somewhat trivial. Like, Sjow was like, what the heck? Harrison in the handlock?
Especially on a Fire War Axe.
Right.
Because he's been saving it so long, he kept it in his opening hand. It seems underwhelming for him to, like, double Dark Bomb this turn just so he can fit out a Harrison onto the second charge of a Fire War Axe. Just to get killed by a Death Bite.
Right. This is why Harrison sometimes is overkill in handlock, because you already draw so much by tapping anyways. Imagine if Ooze was 4 mana, 3/2 draw a card. That's what effectively it can do anyways, but it destroys your opponent's weapon. And most of the time Harrison grabs 1 charge, so you're going to draw 1 card anyways. So a lot of times I feel like the Ooze fits the curve a little bit better. You can Shadow Flame it. You know, sometimes it pairs better if you need an extra taunter on the board. So say you play Ancient Watcher, Ooze, Sunfury Protector.
Yeah, I think you have a lot more room in handlock for those lower drops.
That's the rationale, but Harrison Jones is an interesting flavor choice. So, I mean, so far for Weifu, it's worked out okay. It's not awful, right?
And I feel like in any other matchup, Harrison could be a big liability. Because if you played against Shaman, you're almost always going to have too big of a hand to use it against Doomhammer. Against Paladin, sometimes even against Light's Justice, sometimes you have too much of a hand to be able to use it without overdrawing.
Maybe you never know. If maybe if you have Harrison in your opening hand, you play more aggressive with cards, like you play Zombie Chow, your Ancient Watcher out. Okay, so card does Gromash does come into hand, so that is potential killing damage in the next couple of turns here. And Sjow's gonna use Baron Geddon to just get past the taunts. And he has 16 damage just from the hand and the weapon combination.
It's a lot of damage.
Yes.
Do have Molten Giant though. Draxus as well. Okay, so if he Molten Giant Siphon Souls, it'll put him at 16 health, but then that still wouldn't protect him against a cool Taskmaster Gromish combination.
Right. So if he Molten Giant BGH taunt,
That would protect him.
that would give him some survival time.
Yes, it would.
He can even squeeze in a tap.
Bold. I guess it's not really that bold if you have that big of a wall.
It is a little bold still, because I think if he has execute, number 2, you still die.
Yeah. Yeah. I still think that's the best line of play. Sans tap.
I've got the beast in my
Okay.
sight.
Well, this Molten Giant will come out followed by a taunt. Will he squeeze in a tap though? More importantly, will Sjow find a way to still kill him despite this setback? I mean, I'm not saying that's a really good top deck, but I'm pretty sure that's a good top deck.
I would say so. Well, it depends. Does he have anything that he wants to throw into this brawl?
This cool Taskmaster. No, that's you saving it for the Gromash.
Yeah. So you're hoping that the Molten Giant doesn't come out.
Yeah, it's a 1 in 3 chance though.
Okay.
If the Molten Giant survives.
Okay.
No, none of the Taunters even survive.
That's pretty good.
It's really good. And that means only one more taunt stands in the way between Sjow and Weifu. Or specifically, Show's Gromash to Weifu's face.
He's debating on whether or not he wants to take out this big game hunter. I think he just armor up and pass.
It is another body if he drops like a big minion.
I guess he still does have the activator. He has an activator in his hand for Grom, so he's not too worried about that.
What is he playing around specifically though? Argus? It's like he's trying to reduce the taunt values.
This also is potentially a way for him to start building up more armor.
Yeah.
Not having to worry about a body on the board that's gonna chink it off every turn.
See, I'm not sure if I like that as much, but well, whatever. I mean, Show's the one who's firmly in control. Handlock's not going to be killing him anytime soon, especially now that there's 2 Dr. Booms in the way. How does this even work out?
It's it's a chain reaction of bombs.
Right, but
If-
the nice thing is you get to take initiative because you can Siphon Soul.
Yesterday we saw a double Dr. Boom, and it was he threw a bomb, then the bomb that he killed bombed his other bomb, and then his other bomb hit the other guy's other bomb. So it was just a chain reaction of bombs.
Yeah. In fact, they can hypothetically just like result in just like 1 damage to the face if everything just triggers, right? It's like
Yeah.
boom, 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 1 damage to the face.
It's tough to think about though, like how you want to go about this.
What's even funnier is like if you remove Dr. Boom, say you Siphon Soul Dr. Boom, you kill off one of his boom bots, he does 4 damage to your Dr. Boom, you kill off the other one, kills off your Dr. Boom. It's like sick.
He
Cool
basically
plays, bro.
he basically spent a card to kill both Dr. Booms.
Really?
Whoa.
I
Well,
wasn't considering this.
I think he was afraid of that exact situation. This is a lot safer of a way to do it.
Oh, Sun Fury protect. Oh, okay. I thought he was gonna
If that
tap or something. I was like, oh gosh.
if that hit him for 4, he'd be dead.
Right.
But I think that's the best way he could have done that. The best way he could have gone about that.
That's why I was a little perplexed over why he gave up the weapon so much, because that threatens more than Gromash killing. Alright, well, Sjow tosses out Extraza, but this can just easily get removed again.
Yeah.
And I think you just press. There's actually nothing bad about this.
Sjow looks a little bit worried right now. Maybe regretting his decisions on the previous turns.
You can get away with tapping here too.
Yeah.
It's very clear that your opponent doesn't have the ability to push you, kill you at 13. So I think you can tap and Siphon Soul. Because you do want to get rid of that second... you do want to get rid of that second Molten Giant that's in your deck somewhere.
Okay, well now...
Yeah, Sjow in trouble.
Yeah, he's on the ropes here.
With this Patented Warrior deck too.
He doesn't have any answers to what's on the board next turn.
Yeah. Weifu's not taunting to play around the Black Knight, possibly, but he also might just go all in, I guess. Like, I don't understand why you wouldn't taunt now as opposed to, or why you would taunt now as opposed to before.
Well, that's pretty good.
Yeah, that's a perfect shield slam.
Finally deal with the Dr. Boom.
I can take the hit.
And it's going to keep him alive, but he's still got a lot to get through. He knows Drax is coming up, but he does have Harrison Jones in his hand. So there still could be some pretty big game-changing turns coming up here. Shadow Flame. Not a good draw since he already has a Shadow Flame in his hand. Doesn't really do him any good.
This is why I think I would have liked tapping before, because you did end up floating mana. You were safe from the get-go.
Yeah.
And you would have been able to start having a stronger hand post-Jiraxis.
There wasn't really anything he could have played around in that situation.
Playing Jiraxis now doesn't... I don't know. This bomb might be huge. Eh.
Underwhelming bomb. Could have killed the shield maiden though. This isn't bad
No
though.
tap.
And he still has to deal with this. Sledge Belcher. He can hide the Armor Smith behind the Sledge Belcher.
Seems like to be his best course of action. He doesn't have direct removal.
Yeah, he knows both Siphon Souls are gone. Not that, well, I guess Siphon Soul on the Sledge Belcher wouldn't be too bad. But it doesn't exist. Alright, well. Is this the Jirax's turn? I don't know. Because he'd put himself in lethal range again. No, he wouldn't. He'd be one off. Because he'd leave 2 damage on the board plus the combination. That's a good draw.
Yeah, that's a really good draw. I think he's well aware of like what happens if he plays Jirax. His opponent's gonna steal his paws. He's gonna draw a lot of cards. He's probably gonna lose.
Yeah, he's got to find a way to fit that in a way where playing Harrison would put Sjow in a vulnerable position, either by fatiguing him out.
Sick.
Well, that's what he needed. But
Yep.
still, he
The big game hunter will be able to kill off that giant. But more importantly, how will Sjow start to fight back to threaten the board? Because he used up all of his weapons, right? All 4 of his weapons have been exhausted.
Yes, they have.
I wonder if this game is going to go to fatigue, like so many others.
It's definitely possible. I think it's very likely at this point. Because Sjow's starting to stabilize a little bit. It doesn't feel like Weifu has overwhelming control. But if he does end up playing this Molten Giant, then Sjow has to find a way to deal with it. He has to take something off the top that's going to effectively deal with it, or he could just be in big trouble the following turn. He still has, I believe, 1 Execute and 1 Shield Slam left in his deck.
No, does he have 1 Chill Slam left?
I can't remember if he used the one earlier.
Okay.
The one sat in his hand for a really long time. It was
Yeah, that's a good point.
It was almost since the beginning of the game, and he didn't have to use it at all in early on turn with that first Twilight Drake. Yeah.
Okay, so this is a miniature clear. He just didn't want a Hellfire. Still can draw.
He still can draw.
Might have to at this stage.
Yeah. He knows that he's playing the long game. At this point, it's going to be pretty unlikely that he's going to be able to burst him down with the Grommers and the Gruul Taskmaster.
Let the pain speak to me.
But then, if he draws an Execute, he won't have a way. He still won't have a way to deal with the Molten Giant. Oh!
Shield block is something. It's also deep enough in the deck where Harrison might not want to draw cards.
Yeah.
I'm almost out of cards.
Oh,
Oh, wow.
wow. He's going to be taking fatigue damage soon. Second to last card for Weifu.
Think a Shadow Flame's in order here.
I don't know. I always feel like Hellfire. It's like, don't Shadow Flame if you can Hellfire, because Hellfire is so much weaker than Shadow Flame, especially with Jiraxis.
Yeah.
Why not Jiraxis now? Use the Molten Giant to kill off Harrison. He can't steal your paws anymore.
That's true.
You have a weapon.
I like Jiraxis now. You can clear the board, put a lot of pressure out.
You start taking fatigue damage as of 2 turns from now.
And you'll still have the Sludge Belcher up, so you still have a way to protect your Molten Giants. And what is Sjow gonna do to clear out that Sludge Belcher? He's got no weapons left. He's only got 2 cards in his hands. He will have 3 cards. But judging by this action right now, it looks like Shadow Flame is gonna be the choice.
Yeah, I'm not sure if I like it as much, but
Oh, Shadow Flame, the Earthen Ring Farseer. Okay.
wow. Second Shadow Flame being. Okay.
Ooh.
Shield block could get into that shield slam like we mentioned. Oh, he's got Ragnaros still in his deck.
Sludge Belcher isn't the worst thing in the world.
No, it's definitely good stall.
It'll get damage onto the Molten Giant for him to be able to execute it as well. And that's the last card he has to work with.
Oh, that was actually one of the worst cards there. It's just gonna die to Hellfire.
Sjow knows that one of these cards is Jiraxis.
Right.
And I think he still has,
I think he knows one of them's Hellfire too.
he probably still has, what, 4 cards, 3 cards left in his deck?
Yeah, we should check to see how many cards are remaining.
It shows.
Because this might end up coming to be a case
2
of
cards. Okay.
I mean, that might make the difference here.
I think one of those is a Shield Slam. If I am recalling correctly.
Well, he can execute this giant as soon as it runs in.
Yeah.
Because it most likely will.
Yeah. This is going to be really close.
And then you can Ragnaros flip. He's out of Siphon Souls. This is going to be very, very close.
Hellfire could end up being a little bit of a liability here because you're just putting yourself closer
Right.
with no ways to gain back life and hitting fatigue next turn.
He's what's really sad is Weifu knows that by playing Jiraxis he loses 4 health here and loses time.
Yeah.
He has to play Jiraxis now though.
Oh. I think Sjow probably has this.
Well, if Ragnaros doesn't. Oh!
That's pretty big, actually.
Yeah.
I thought he used both Fire War Axes, but that's going to allow him to chip through with no ways to gain life, no taunts. That extra bit of damage.
Here we go. Ragnaros hitting either target's usually is pretty much fine here. Preferably you hit Jiraxis so you can accelerate his own death, but you know that your opponent can't really deal with it.
You don't want to play Grom this turn?
He's now Show's like really like wondering what he has left. He's like, what did he not play? If he's really in tune, he knows his opponent didn't play a second Twilight Drake.
Yeah.
The Hellfire though is always hard to suspect.
I would play Grom here. You're for sure kill next turn with Grom. Pretty much. If you're keeping track of cards.
Well, you need to play one of these 8 minions, 8 cost minions.
Yeah.
I think Ragnaros I favor a little bit more, because you might shoot him in the face and do 8 damage. Grom has no guarantee of like hitting him. Here we go, Ragnaros. Either outcome's okay. Shooting to the face is alright too, because he's gonna only have 2 more turns to win. He has 2 turns. I don't think he can even do that.
Nah, I think it's impossible.
Twilight Drake for a 4.
Yeah, he wins. Just throw the fireworks in and slam with Grom, and then Fatigue will kill him the next turn.
Right. Actually, it doesn't matter how he did it. If Grom hits the 1-2 and he weapons him, he's going to take 2 fatigue damage next turn.
Either way.
So Sjow's going to 3-0 Weifu and send him home packing. And unfortunately, even though Weifu did come out on top for week number 4, seems like Sjow will be the one taking him out here. Rough path because Weifu definitely gave it his all.
Yeah, you can see he's a little bit devastated there, but
yeah.
he can't
that made me a little sad to watch.
Yeah, he can't be too upset with his performance. I mean, he won a week. That's really impressive. He got a lot of points. There's still a chance that he will get invited with the points that he's accrued. He can still play in those open brackets, try and make it back an additional week to try and get a little bit more points to push him over the edge. But well played to him. But Sjow, very impressive performance, a 3-0. First 3-0 of the day.
Yeah, I mean, we've had 3-2s all the way through. If we take a look at the bracket in just a sec, you can see where Sjow lands. He's going to play the winner of Magic Amy versus Life Coach. And, of course, then we go into the semifinals, followed by our finals, which will show one person getting a ticket to California, expenses paid, and also guarantee themselves a good chunk of change because it's $20,000 for our entire series.
And they get to meet us.
Yes, that's the ultimate cherry on top.
Which is the bonus for all these.
You guys can too if you guys want to sign up at esl.gg/legendary series. Or if you guys want to check out all the cool sponsors that make it possible, you can check out the same website, esl.gg/Newegg Esports. Check out all of our cool sponsors, promotions with Western Digital, Crucial, Newegg, as well as Cooler Master. We're going to take a few minutes to get ready for our last quarterfinal of the day before we start moving on to the semifinals. Don't go anywhere, guys. More Legendary Series continues right after this break.